Welcome to the Couch Potato Sports Show, your internet radio home for all sports, news, and talk. Join Sonny Clark, the hardest working man in sports radio, and the Eagle Eye, Bill Cerna, and the best co-host anyone could ask for, Cuervo. We cover it all. NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL, as well as indoor football and high school sports. Now, it's time. Here's Sonny Clark.
All right, everybody, welcome into the Couch Potato Sports Show. It is me, Sonny Clark, the hardest working man in sports radio and sick man as a dog yesterday. Cuervo had something going on, and I was sick, so we probably weren't going to do the show because either him or me, mostly me, feel much better today, guys. It's amazing what, 10 hours and 10-hour night of sleep and a 3-hour nap today will do to, kind of recharge your batteries. And it's been one of those weeks as we got started, as far as the show on Sunday, and then it was sweeping all the way into today. I moved my daughter out of her dorm on Tuesday, so I worked Tuesday, moved the daughter. It's just been a crazy week. And then to top it off, we had our show on Thursday. I just could not get it done, and I do apologize for that up front. Good to see Roy Oswald there. Hope to see some SC players that don't have to take a pay cut after being drafted to the NFL. That's always one of the big stories, and you can call Sonny Clark a pessimist because I believe they don't get paid. No. Not under the table, nothing. So, there you go. Good to see Ron for joining us. I appreciate that. We're gonna go over round number one when Cuervo gets in here, and I'll probably jump in there and get started before that. But with that being said, which is the name of the show on Sunday, make sure you catch it. And just to let everybody know, we'll be going live on Sunday at in between 1 and 2. We'll decide 1 or 2 later on in this program with Cuervo Online, so we know what works best for his schedule as far as the show is concerned. So good to see everybody there. Yep, money. It's it. So I guess Ron is kind of like me, a pessimist and everything else, but we all know what it's about. It's got to be the money, and that's what you get. So some interesting picks, some stupid picks, in my opinion. Now, let me preface this, that the draft expert on this show is Cuervo, Jonathan, Brian Tarvin. No, it's not Sonny. And I'm going to tell you the reason why I'm not the expert when it comes to the draft. I don't care about rookies. And I know that's a horrible statement, but I just don't. There are going to be some rookies that are going to be starting. There should be quite a few rookies starting in prime positions as well. The problem that I have with rookies is that I look at them is that they don't know the system. It is a total different world for them to step up. And I will say this, when you do have good players, they have a way of stepping up. And it's usually not early. It's usually, if they're going to do it quick, mid-season. So that's the kind of thing that I'm going to be looking at as far as this draft is concerned and where everybody else is. So when we go there and look at what happened, there was no great big shock at the number one position. And, it was interesting as I was watching the Trevor Lawrence situation. Yes, here's some highlights of him. But as I was watching for him, I couldn't help realize that there was no excitement in the pick because this pick was done 2 weeks ago. It was all said and done, no great big surprise. They didn't have to have 3 or 4 different uniforms sitting around his house like they did at some other guys to figure out, like Justin Field, going to the Bears, which lots to talk about as far as that's concerned, especially with Cuervo. But Trevor Lawrence was no great big surprise as far as the pick. And there was really no hype about it in reality. That hype happened a couple weeks ago when we knew this was going to happen. But looking at Trevor Lawrence and what this guy is capable of doing, as far as the Jacksonville Jaguars, if the Jaguars did not take this guy, what happens is that the franchise itself gets that woulda, coulda, shoulda title on them. So I'm going to tell you straight out, as I looked at this Jaguar team, my team, and I don't know what I feel about Urban Meyer, okay? I do know what I saw from him in college, but as far as where I'm going to see him as a NFL head coach, can he handle the NFL coaches? Can he handle with what he does with the NFL coaches? Will he be able to outsmart them? Will he be able to say, yes, we've got it figured out and we're going to be really good? But I'm going to tell you straight out, I don't necessarily think at all that the Jaguars are going to be contenders just even in their own division. I would like to think that, but I don't see it. Good, bad, or indifferent, as far as what you see, as far as the Jaguars, remember, they got to figure out a way to get past the Tennessee Titans. A good football team? Yes, no, maybe so. Who knows? Then you got Houston. That is a total disaster. And you have the Indianapolis Colts, which you don't know what you're going to get there because of the quarterback situation. No Phillip Rivers. So you got Houston. No go. Indianapolis, pretty good football team. The Tennessee Titans, probably should win the division once we get past this draft, once we get past all the signings, once we have everything, we can figure out where all that is. And then you got the Jacksonville Jaguars. Right now, I could probably say that maybe the Jaguars are better than Houston. And that's a great big maybe, because you never know how they're going to get out of the gate starting the beginning of the season. Okay? So I think they are. But as far as Indianapolis, they went and got a veteran quarterback. I forget his name. I'll get that on top of my head. I kind of took a turn off of where I was going. Constant on this show. But take away from that. And then Tennessee, that should probably win the division. So looking at where Jacksonville is and what they're all about, really simple. Excuse me, guys, I got a cough. Jacksonville does not win the division. I don't see them making the playoffs, and if they did, it's going to be slim pickings. But they've got to get out of the gate really quick. They can't go 1-4. They can't go 2-6. Okay, they've got to win some games, and they got to start it off early. And the main reason, okay, and I was reading, why that if you go out and get Trevor Lawrence, why he wouldn't start. There was some question. Guys, there's no question that Trevor Lawrence is going to start this year and start week 1. And the only way that doesn't happen is he gets blasted in a preseason game, which there's one less of those and one more of a regular season. So Trevor Lawrence is in a situation where this is his team, but it's not because of who your coach is. And I guess I'll say a guy that can make the connection with a young guy is going to be the most successful with the Trevor Lawrence. And we've already seen what an Urban Meyer can do with young guys. But then you get the mixture of the veterans. Are they going to listen to this young guy coach? And the veterans going, this is not the way we play football. So there's a lot of things as far as where I feel for Jacksonville. And not that I don't have much hope. I just don't think they're necessarily a good football team, even with what. Now, are they better? Absolutely. But I still see them at best third in this division, where Tennessee will probably win it. Indianapolis will be right behind them. Good, better, and different. It is what it is. Now, where all this ends up at the end of the season, will they make the playoffs? That is something that will have to be asked at a later time. Obviously, getting past week number 1 and going that route. So, the progress of Trevor Lawrence will all really be on week 1, 2, 3, and 4. Where they are going to be is going to be the big question. And where they're going to be has to coincide with the chemistry that Urban Meyer can put together at the beginning of the season in order to move forward, get better, make plays, win games, make a way to the playoffs. So I know there's a lot of people that will look at where the Jaguars are compared to last year and have a lot of high hopes. My man, Tom McManus, I listen to him all the time. He's got some big, big high hopes, but he's kind of like me. He's being cautious, and that's a good thing to be right now, especially if you take a look at where Jacksonville is within just their own division. Never mind the AFC that has got 12, 14, teams that might be better than them. Yeah, 12 or 10 to 12 teams that will be better than them. So it will be an interesting season. It will see, but I think we're going to find out right away and get that all set and ready to go. Bear Stadium, Soldier Fields. There you go. Jumping on now, he says. And by the way, I've heard all the fields, all the Marshall Fields, all that connection. We'll talk about that. But back to my Jaguars. Okay, Jaguars got a lot of work to do and things. But here's what I don't like about what the Jaguars did. Okay, they didn't have just one pick in the first round. They had 2. And this team went out and got a running back. And I am completely lost on that pick. Because in reality, you're taking a stud at defense or an offensive lineman at that point. A running back, and I'm just going to say it, is a waste pick, at least for the last few years, including this one. Now, when I say I don't even know who Travis Etienne is out of Clemson, except for the fact I've seen what ended up happening, I see why they did it, the chemistry and all that crap. But this is the NFL. And I don't like the pick. If they did something like that, I'm more on the fact that you need to go out and you need to grab up the wide receiver, not the running back. It's a horrible pick by the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm sorry it was. And I may or may be wrong. I may be right. I don't know. But I will tell you this straight out. I'm not a great big fan of the pick. The second pick. Just not. Let's do this. Cuervo's on his way in. It's going to take a few minutes. So what we'll do, we'll take a quick break, get our first break out of the way here on the Couch Potato Sports Show. And when we come back, we'll start knocking it down. We'll look at the first round. When we're getting into the second round, picks are going to be made as we're on air. I actually kind of forgot about that because I'm just reviewing what's going on yesterday. We'll take a quick break here on the Couch Potato Sports Show. It's that being said, the NFL Draft Edition. We'll be right back.
This is Sonny Clark, radio voice of your Rowlett Eagles, letting you know about RowlettFood.com. Do you want to have dinner delivered but you don't want to use Uber Eats? Contact someone locally that can do the same thing at a better price and faster. All you have to do is pick a restaurant on the list at the website, tell us what you'd like to order, then check out, and you'll have your food within 25 to 45 minutes, depending on distance. Check out RowlettFoods.com for your next meal at Raising Cane's, Golden Pod, Ponchos and Lefty, and more. Give us a call at 972-408-8002 or check us out on the web at RowlettFood.com. This is Sonny Clark, radio voice of your Rowlett Eagles, letting you know about Landon Huey and 19 Ministries.
One of the things we want to do is we had this idea. The name that's kind of sticking right now is Rowlett Revival. And we know that there are a lot of hurting and broken people across the city. Out of a population of 60,000, there's close to 40,000 that aren't saved. And we want to do like a Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday where we'll bring in a guest speaker, and he's just going to share the love of Christ. And we want to connect people in the city up with churches, and where they can find a healthy church family and find people that believe in them and find a God that loves them. Jesus came for a broken world, and man, he loves and cares for everybody in the city. And so we're excited about that. We're working through details right now, but our vision is to see God's going to reach a lot of people.
So make sure you contact Landon Huey at 19 Ministries at 972-835-8665, or check them out on the web at 19ministries.org or uniterowlett.org. This is Sonny Clark, radio voice of your Rowlett Eagles, asking, are you looking for a new home? Want to know what your house could sell for in today's market? Then you need to contact Realtor Jeremy Morgan with Ray Hubbard Real Estate Group at Keller Williams Rockwall. Whether you're buying, selling, leasing, or investing, he can help you get where you need to be. Visit RayHubbardRealEstateGroup.com or make an appointment today by calling 214-236-2914. That's 214-236-2914. Jeremy Morgan with Ray Hubbard Real Estate Group, Keller Williams Rockwall. Find out how Merchant Masters DFW, specializing in small business companies, can help you save money and protect your customers' information with our credit card processing and point-of-sale systems. In 95% of our cases, our services save our clients money. So, what makes Merchant Masters DFW different from all the others? It's an integrity-first approach to each client we work with, so you receive the very best, including financial savings, lowest possible rates, superior technology, and improved support. So claim your free audit at merchantmastersdfw.com or contact John Beeman at 262-339-5470 for more information. That's 262-339-5470. Merchant Masters DFW, different from all the rest.
Ever want to know why Bill and I look so great on our broadcast? Check out K West Designs on Facebook to find out why. Check out all the samples that Kelly has got up so you can see, especially if you have that special occasion that needs something original, something designed, something that just says, this is our moment. Check out K West Designs on Facebook or give her a call at 469-601-5856. That's 469-601-5856. Again, K West Designs. Make yourself look original or different or just something just for you. K West Designs. Potato Sports Show. It is me, Sonny Clark, the hardest working man in sports radio. And guess what?
You didn't know?
In case you didn't know.
Call somebody.
All right, he is here. He's the MVP. He's the fine co-host of this program. It's Cuervo. Hey, thanks for hanging out. Okay, hold on. He's got this stupid hat in front of me.
A stupid hat.
Stupid hat.
No, okay. He's living on this, and I thought, and maybe I thought, I didn't think that you were all that hopped up from the comment pages that were going on. I went back and read them after I went to sleep last night because I went to bed fairly early. I just felt like hell. And I seen your little side picture that you didn't seem all that thrilled about Justin Field being your guy. So let me know, what do you feel about the idea of having Justin Field as your quarterback?
I'm mixed about it, Sonny. I'll be honest. You know, the Bears fan in me says, you know what, you can't change it now. Ryan Pace made the move. You know, he drafted him, so we're gonna roll with it. But here's the thing. I'm mixed about it. Number one, because I just think, number one, I think the Bears gave up too much to move up and get him. I think they could have gotten him.
They gave up a lot. You're right.
I think personally, based on how everything went down, I think moving to 14 was a possibility instead of going all the way up to 11, because you look at the scenario, right? So Philly had moved up to 10 and Dallas goes down to 12. All right. The Giants are sitting at 11. Do the Giants want to take another quarterback? I don't necessarily think they wanted a quarterback. They love Daniel Jones. They love the potential that he's got. So you're not gonna see a quarterback go at 11. Now you got Dallas at 12. Well, they just re-signed Dak Prescott to a boatload of money, so you don't see a quarterback going there. 13 went to the Chargers. They love Justin Herbert, and the quarterback's not going then. Now you move to 14, and at 14 was Minnesota. Now, you're not really concerned with Minnesota taking a quarterback, even though they maybe, in our opinion, maybe they should consider it. But it didn't seem like they were going to do it. So I think that's when you make the move, because New England at 15, obviously they made the pick that they did. So they were eyeing a quarterback, Sonny. So I think, and it sounds dumb, but 11 to 14, you're saving a couple $1 million there, and probably some draft capital. So I think Ryan Pace, I think he jumped the gun a little bit. I can't really criticize him for it, though. The Bears did, make the move that they felt was necessary, and I think that I'm just still mixed about it because, again, I think they gave up too much. Number two, look, the guy's got all the talent in the world, and we're looking at his highlights here. You can see how athletic he can be, how great of an arm he's got. But let's be real about it, Sonny. All right? It starts with Troy Smith back in 2007. Then you move on to guys like, Braxton Miller, J.T. Barrett, Cardell Jones, Dwayne Haskins, Terrell Pryor. What do all those guys have in common? That's
an Ohio State quarterback.
Yeah, and how many of them panned out in the NFL? Not a single one of them.
I actually was at a skills thing with I've had 3 jobs with ESPN in my illustrious career, and one of them was at a skills thing, and I forget Caldwell Jones. I was there for Caldwell Jones, and he didn't pan out very well in the NFL either. That Ohio State is quarterbacks, but sooner or later, I guess, sort of like you taking, going with the Justin Fields and keeping it in the positive, I guess you could say, sooner or later it's got to happen. Good, bad, or indifferent, I don't know, but sooner or later maybe they're going to get a hit.
Well, here's my question, though, Sonny. Again, it's a trend with Ohio State quarterbacks. What makes Fields so different compared to those other 6 guys that I mentioned? All of them had great careers in college football. They won a lot of games, threw for a lot of yards, threw for a lot of touchdowns, ran for a lot of, they put up huge numbers. Some of them were Heisman Trophy finalists. Some of them won national championships. And Justin Fields was just in the national championship in January. So my question is, looking at that, Ryan, I don't know if that's something that Ryan Pace thought about, or he was just in love with his toughness, according to him. That's what he fell in love with. But what makes Fields so different from all those other Ohio State quarterbacks that didn't do jack squat in the NFL?
Right. And looking at the future, though, or looking at the past, what they did in the past, and obviously you just got to go back a couple of years and see what they did regarding, Justin Fields this year. What did they do? Trade up to get him. Last time they traded up to get him, they got Mitchell Trubisky. That obviously didn't work out. And I was actually, when that ended up happening, I was actually drifting off to sleep when this pick happened, because it was only a few after I said goodnight and I was still listening. I thought to myself, who is the better guy? I mean, really, in reality, I mean, knowing what you know, obviously, about Mitchell Trubisky now compared to, Justin Fields. Now, Justin Fields is going to get to come to Jesus. I don't care what anybody says. It's going to happen. But going into it, would you have rather had Mitchell Trubisky moving into this, or would you have rather had Justin Fields? I guess that's the question.
Well, I think that you got to look at who would more likely be the starter. Yeah, I mean, if Trubisky was still in Chicago, does he have a better chance of starting over Andy Dalton or Nick Foles? Or is Fields going to get the opportunity to start over Dalton and Nick Foles? Now, if that happens, shame on Ryan Pace, because Andy Dalton was quote unquote promised when he signed with the Bears that he was going to be the starting quarterback.
That was a big mistake.
He was given Ryan Pace. Andy Dalton was given the general manager's word that he was going to be the starting quarterback. And now they make this move. They trade up, and yet they gave up another first-round pick, which, I guess that's fine. But, they move up, and they get another quarterback. So I don't know if it was more about the Bears felt like it was something that they needed to do, or it's because of all the heat that they're getting. They felt like it was a move that they had to do to get the fan base pumped up and excited and kind of get some heat off of their back.
Right.
And if that's the case, that's bad business, Sonny. I still think, and here's the third thing. The third reason why I'm not so big on this pick is because you're still not addressing what the real issue is.
Absolutely.
And that is your offensive line, lack of production. You've got to have guys that I don't care. I've said this before. I don't care if you have a quarterback that has the legs of Michael Vick, the arm of Dan Marino, and the intelligence of a Peyton Manning. You have all that in one quarterback, it doesn't matter, because if they have 3 seconds to get the ball off, then what's a quarterback going to do with that, Sonny?
Absolutely. And that being, to go ahead and throw it out there, your Chicago Bears actually just made a move, just to let everybody know. The draft is going on right now in the second round, and your Chicago Bears went out and got Tevin Jenkins, offensive tackle out of Oklahoma State. Not necessarily familiar with this guy. What do you know about this guy as far as who he is and what he brings to the team?
I know just as much as you do, Sonny. I'll be completely honest with you.
Very good. I tried to lob that to you if you had some kind of information. But, listen, now, that being said, okay, just looking at the draft and what it is, obviously you had the big guys on the offensive line. They went last night, which, by the way, just to take the step back for Dallas Cowboy fans, okay, I'm just going to tell you straight out, the pick for your Dallas Cowboys, your beloved football team, okay? They made the big mistake, and they did not go offensive line. They traded out because they couldn't get what they wanted, so they go ahead, they back out of it, and then they go defense instead of yet another reason you got Dak Prescott going down getting injured because the offensive line is decimated in Dallas, and the fact they didn't go offensive line after those two studs that they were looking for did not make it down to them. They should have went offensive line, should have never traded out that spot and grabbed up the best guy at the offensive line spot. I'm sorry, because if you look at the success, when they had success, it's when they had the offensive line. And if you don't have an offensive line in this game, let's just go back. If you go back to Jacksonville Jaguar Tom McManus, he says most of the games are one up front, and that means defensive line and offensive line. And they went and got neither in reality, but they needed offensive line for Dallas. So, I'm not really thrilled about where Dallas or what Dallas did in the first round as far as, going after nobody. Hold on. It was Michael Parsons that they went up and they grabbed. And I'll have to say this as far as who I was looking for. Michael Parsons, he's got some talent. There is no question. He's a super badass, but at the same time, how much of a downfall would it have been for them to go in the second round and grab up a guy that, if that guy was available, great. If not, I just think the backing, the thinking is not right as far as the order of that pick.
Yeah, you know what, Sonny? Honestly, I think that pick was made. I think it was an emotional pick.
Yes.
Because just last week, Sean Lee announces his retirement, and now Dallas has completely lost their thought process and now they're like, okay, well, now we got to replace Sean Lee. We just lost Sean Lee, retired. So now we got to find his replacement, and they completely lost focus of what was more important, and that is, getting that offensive line fixed. Because you got. Is it Frederick or Zach Martin? Which one is it that's not got sick and is not going to play no more?
Well, Frederick is not going to play anymore. He went ahead and retired. So that was – and by the way, if you go back in the history of the draft, you've seen that they traded up for him because Frederick was slated as a late second rounder or early third, and they jumped up. And if I'm not mistaken, it was number 11 when they picked him up. And that guy was a mainstay until – the situation that has taken him out of the game.
Yeah, so and that's unfortunate, but I still think that not having him in the offensive line, Dallas needed to get that addressed. Yeah. And because of the timing of Sean Lee announces his retirement, I think Dallas, like I said, I think they lost focus on what they wanted to do originally. And they said, you know what, we have to get his replacement. So that's why they drafted Micah Parsons. Now the kid's going to be a stud. Him and Van Der Esch are going to be, they're going to be phenomenal together. But,
absolutely.
I think there were bigger needs. I think there were more important needs that the Dallas Cowboys had, and they're gonna
protecting the highest paid quarterback in the NFL right now. Probably.
Yeah, that might be important to do.
You just think about the fact that you don't want him to go down to another injury and the rest of the year gone adios. I mean, yeah, I know it's the obvious pick, but sometimes the obvious pick is the right freaking pick because of where you are. And, now that being said, that statement alone tells you a lot. Now you go to the Jets at the number 2 spot. They go ahead and they grab up their guy, Zach Wilson. And as far as the Jets are concerned, within a division of football where obviously Buffalo is going to be gaining, reigning supreme right now, I don't know what we're going to get from Miami. I think they did pretty good in the draft. I can't remember. I got the list. I'll go back and look at it. But I wasn't like going, why did they do that? It was actually a good set. But the quarterback over what's his name that they grabbed up in New England.
Mac Jones.
Mac Jones, the one that everybody hates.
Mac Jones.
Yeah. So he's up there, but I don't know. I guess I'm going to ask you at the number 2 pick. Okay, Zach Wilson, is this the right pick for this franchise with it being New York? And I don't know. Maybe I thought I would go with someone who can handle a little bit more media pressure than where were that? Was that North Dakota that they pulled him out of, or BYU? Yeah, so
BYU.
Yeah, BYU. So I don't know. I just, when I look at BYU and I look at their schedule, I've seen the cream puffs and everything else. The NFL is not cream puffs. And so I get the skill set, I get the potential, I get all of that. But add up on the top of the fact that he's going to go there expected to be the man in New York. Cuervo, this to me seems like it's not the right pick based upon the talent that he faced in college, and then he's going to go into like 6 steps higher than he was, playing in BYU. I'm not a great big fan of the pick. What do you think about the pick at number 2?
Well, I mean, I think that was the guy that they had been targeting the whole time, and I like I like his arm talent as far as his accuracy. I don't really buy into the throwing power too much, or the strong arm stuff, because strong arms is only going to get you so far in the NFL. But if you're accurate, that to me is what's more important. And Zach Wilson, he's a pretty accurate quarterback. Now the exception to the strong arm thing is you're going to have a strong arm in New York, throwing in that type of weather. So I think he can handle it. I think he's a guy that can, as far as the media and stuff, I think he's going to handle himself just fine. I just think that the Jets are going to have to help him out with getting some talent around him, because if I'm not mistaken, their receiving core is not that great. And I think Le'Veon Bell obviously left, so he's not a Jet anymore. You got to get some talent around the kid. So that's my only. You're muted, Sonny.
I was coughing and I forgot to come back after the cough. I feel great, still got the cough, so I've been muting myself. So give me a warning on that. But that being said, when getting the right people around him is definitely in New York is going to be the situation. So with Zach, all the other things, Mac Jones, he gets up and he's going to go with Bill Belichick. And we all know what he said to Roger Goodell. He said, this was where I wanted to go. When he went up there and he whispered in his ear, this is where he wanted to go. And I don't know if it was any great big secret, but if you're a quarterback in the NFL, you want to go to frickin' Bill Belichick. Sorry, you do. And if you don't know football, and you're too stupid to be in the draft. That having been said, they get their guy. And now the curveballs come, because the idea of maybe bringing Jimmy Garoppolo back over there, that's still not a dead issue in reality, because I don't think, like you said, Cuervo, Mac Jones, he just doesn't have necessarily the other skill set that we seen on those other 5 quarterbacks that were out there that were available.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think that it's a skill set that Mac Jones lacks. I think it's and I don't like using this phrase, but I think when it comes to Mac Jones, I think the problem with him is that, and this is why I don't like him, Sonny, I think he had it too easy in college. So he's never really been, quote unquote, battle tested. Like,
right,
when you have your college career handed to you on a silver platter, because you have all American talent all around you, and there's just no competition. To me, that's a red flag. I want a guy that has shown he can come back from down 14 points in the fourth quarter, or that he can show that he's got ice in his veins, and he can handle certain pressures. And that's what I liked about A.J. McCarron coming out of Alabama. Because if you remember that Iron Bowl against Auburn, when he,
I do,
and I'll never get this play out of my head, Sonny. This is the one play that always sticks out in my mind. You can go back and YouTube it, or you could just ask Tarvin about it. But 99-yard touchdown to Amari Cooper in the Iron Bowl against the biggest rival. You don't find many guys that can make that play happen. And A.J. McCarron made it look easy. And that's why you and I felt if A.J. McCarron ever gets his chance, he's going to shine. And once he gets in the right opportunity at the right time, he is going to be a guy that I think people will say, "Man, where did this guy come from?" Like, we didn't see this coming. So, but with Mac Jones, Sonny, I just think he had it given to him way too easy. At All-American guy, a Heisman Trophy winner in Devontae Smith. He had Jalen Waddle. He had, the running game that they had, All-American offensive lineman that got picked in, So to me, I just think Mac Jones had it too easy. If you look at it, if you pull up that highlight reel again, Sonny, you're going to see one, maybe two throws that wide receivers were contested. All the other throws that you see him making were to wide receivers that are just 10, 15 yards wide open. I could make those throws. You could make those throws. My old lady can make those throws to those wide receivers. So to me, I just think Mac Jones had it too easy, and he doesn't know what it's like to have to overcome any type of adversity. Now, I could be wrong, and he could prove me wrong, and Bill Belichick could make him, an all-pro quarterback in the league. I don't know, or McDaniels, but I just don't see it right now, and that's why I don't like Mac Jones.
If arm strength got you anywhere, Brandon Doughty would be on the NFL squad today. And yes, I'm going back because I'm telling you right now, the sleeper in that whole thing was Miami grabbing up Brandon Doughty back in the day. Okay, I don't necessarily. They got him in this in 2016, and if I'm not mistaken, they got him in the 7th round, the last round. And he stayed on the practice squad forever. And he got it because of where he came from, because of the arm strength and everything else. And I'm telling you right now, Cuervo, when I was looking at this whole thing, and I seen who was going out, Brandon Doughty could have met up with out of the top 2, maybe not. But I think maybe Justin Field, all these other guys that were picked out, Brandon Doughty could have been right there. But we also go back to the fact of what division of college football that he played as well. That did not help his, attention onto his talent. And I think that's one of the things that when a Bill Belichick notices a guy like that, it makes me kind of wonder, will this guy be ready? But it wasn't like he was out of nowhere, though. It wasn't like he was in Brandon Doughty was in North Kentucky, if I'm not mistaken. Finding this guy finding him wasn't very hard at all for Bill Belichick. I mean, but going out and finding someone that is the rare, what do they call it? The diamond in the rough kind of thing, with the Zach Wilson, because let's be honest, that's what you are shooting for with the Zach. That was a hit or miss. You're either going to hit a home run with them or strike out in reality. Because the Jets are who they are, because of who they are as a franchise, and not like you said, getting the guys to help him be successful unless they have had a total change in the front office thinking you can get Zach all day long, but Zach Wilson's not going to be anything without help.
And I think we could say that for any rookie quarterback, Sonny, even your guy Trevor Lawrence. In Jacksonville, you got to surround him with some sort of talent and, to help him become successful. I mean, it's only so often that you're going to have an Andrew Luck type guy that just, turns water into wine, so to speak. And that I think with any of these quarterbacks, they've got to have a surrounding camp. Now, Mac Jones is in the best position to. He's the one that has the most talent around him yet again. The question is he going to start this year? Or are they going to stick to their guns with Cam? Because all hell's going to break loose if he starts over Cam Newton. I mean, you're going to see a pouty, God knows what he's going to wear every Sunday, Cam Newton, because we know when he's upset Cam,
he's anti-Cam at that point.
That's right. That's right. Ant Cam. He's not just regular Cam. So
big question there in Cuervo. I mean, is Mac Jones going to start? I mean, if you look at the whole thing, is he going to start over on that right now?
I'm going to say no. I don't think he does. Not right away.
I don't think he should. So out of the five, the big five, possibly six, I mean, who do you think ends up in that starting role? I mean, you look at the Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence. I think he starts. Zach Wilson. Who else do they have? So I think that he'll end up starting. San Francisco, Jimmy Garoppolo is going to start. They start Trey Lance. I'm telling you right now, Cuervo, that would be a big mistake. So do you think Trey Lance will end up starting for San Francisco? Or, well, I guess that all depends. If Jimmy Garoppolo gets shipped out of town and what's going on with that. So
I think he will. I think he's gone. Do I think it was the right move to trade what they did, all that draft capital to get Trey Lance from North Dakota? I thought that was a bad, desperate move by the 49ers, Sonny.
Yeah, and frankly, and this goes back. I've seen Jimmy Garoppolo play. Let's be honest, okay? I'm not going to sit here and say he's the best thing come along since fruit punch. That would be stupid. But he's better regardless. I don't care what this guy did. And that's the reason why I'm horrible when it comes to drafting rookies. I don't trust rookies. I don't care who they are. And if you're in a situation like Trevor Lawrence, you just might as well. I mean, so, that's a little bit different when you're talking San Francisco, who were in the Super Bowl, not more than 2-3 years ago. They were in the freaking Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo. So you seeing where they are as a franchise, I don't see them letting Jimmy Garoppolo go. I think they'll let it be known that you could get him, but I think you're going to pay a very steep price for Jimmy Garoppolo. That's the reason why I don't think we're going to at least see him over in New England with Bill Belichick. He might go someplace else. It would have to be a team that has a lot of draft equity in order for them to get a Jimmy Garoppolo in reality.
Well, I mean, what do you think the asking price is for Jimmy Garoppolo right now, Sonny? I mean, do you really think he's worth a first-round pick right now?
It just all depends.
I would say at best a second.
Okay. But if you're a desperate football team, and you can go through the NFL and know who those desperate teams are. I mean, you're looking at 32 teams in reality. You got 25 teams in reality out there that have got their quarterback situation all set. That leaves 7 teams out there that can make a move to get a Jimmy Garoppolo. And, listen, I was thinking to myself, the fact that Jimmy Garoppolo, I think, and it's not going to happen because they've got their life set on Tua down in Miami. But I'm telling you, an idea of Jimmy Garoppolo going to the Miami Dolphins is not the worst. I mean, the guy knows the offense, okay? Jimmy Garoppolo knows the offense that he's going to play on 2 games right there. And the fact that I think Jimmy Garoppolo is a victim of being behind the GOAT and then being put over in a situation in San Francisco after they don't win that Super Bowl. Everybody's down on Jimmy Garoppolo, but injuries are another problem when it comes to Jimmy Garoppolo. And the fact, and this is where I got that 6-week high sprain thing. Remember when they brought Jimmy Garoppolo back after 4 weeks and not 6? We didn't see the same Jimmy Garoppolo. Why? Because he wasn't fully healthy from that high ankle strength. And if you're out there after 6 weeks, you're nuts. You should not have him out there. We saw that. And then we saw what we saw with Jimmy Garoppolo. And so the combination of the injury, bringing him back early, brought his stock down big time, which is the reason why you think at best maybe he's a second rounder. That would be what NFL, scouts and everybody will say. But as far as talent, as far as Jimmy Garoppolo, he might be around 15 in the NFL. And by the way, we forgot to do our quarterback thing. We'll have to do that whenever we're thinking about it. It's when I got called in, we were going to do that. But I think Jimmy Garoppolo could be 15 or 17. And if you're at the pack, in the middle of the pack, with the extra added game on this year, okay, instead of 16, now it's 17 games, kind of, a situation there, you can get Jimmy Garoppolo to get a, half-ass football team into the playoffs and maybe get a win.
Right. And I think it depends too, Sonny, on, going to a team that he's going to fit. For example, I don't think he would fit on a team, let's say, like the Baltimore Ravens, where they do a lot of RPO type stuff. And, it's a very fast-paced type offense. Philadelphia, I think, is another offense that he probably wouldn't excel in. But when you're thinking of, let's say, like a team like the Rams, all right, I think that's a team that he could probably do well with. I think a team like, say, maybe Atlanta, that the Falcons maybe is a possibility.
Yes.
Bring him in to go after Matt Ryan's gone. And then whatever happens with Julio Jones, there's still a lot of rumors going around about Atlanta trading Julio Jones away. So I don't know, maybe you try and rebuild a little bit and you bring in Jimmy Garoppolo to be your starting quarterback. I mean, I don't think that would be the worst idea. Him and Calvin Ridley,
especially in Atlanta,
pretty good.
Yeah, especially in Atlanta, Cuervo. You're talking about a football team that has been on a Super Bowl hangover for now 4 years with, Matt Jones. I'm sorry, they should have, without a doubt in my mind, they should have won quarterback. Anything's better, maybe. I don't know. Maybe you go ahead and get the quarterback and see what you're going to get from Matty Ice. Probably one of the third worst nicknames for a guy. At one point he had ice, but it definitely melted. But Atlanta going tight end, Cuervo, I'm telling you, this was a move that when I was looking at some of the draft and what people were talking about, this guy was peg-headed for here or San Francisco. So when they went and grabbed up this guy, I asked myself, what are you going to do with this guy if you can't get him the ball? And so them thinking one more year with Matt Ryan, right now, I mean, I'm sorry, if you don't think that the Buccaneers are going to win that division of football, you're crazy. It won't be New Orleans. I mean, and the Carolina Panthers are not there. The only other team that had any kind. So what they're thinking, at least in what I was talking about or thinking about, Cuervo, was real simple. They go up and they grab this young stud at the tight end position and hope that Matt Ryan can find some kind of success with this kid to make them and then open up the doors for Julio Jones. And that's what this move was for. In reality, if you didn't go quarterback, you had to do something to get the attention off of Julio Jones so he can make plays down the field. This guy brings it in. Not only, I mean, this guy could be a wide receiver. I mean, so a big wide body and everything. You'll see him. You'll even see him going down on slants, and getting the ball. It's going to be an interesting move with Matt Ryan. But the Atlanta Falcons, as far as this move, not going quarterback for the years to come, is going to be a problem because if you're going to get the high guy, you're going to get the best guy next year coming out of the draft at the quarterback position. You got to have a 3-win or less season, or you're not going to get him. And could one of these new guys been that guy at the number 4 spot? Could have been Fields.
I just don't know if it would have been the right move to take a quarterback, in the draft, Sonny, and bring in a rookie. I think bringing in a veteran makes a little more sense at this point for the Falcons. just because they're not in a complete rebuild or they're not,
Incredible they are, and I'm going to tell you the reason why. If the Atlanta Falcons go 1-4, why not throw the dude in? There's no question that Matt Ryan's going to start. I don't think that's the question. It's what Matt Ryan does within the first 6 weeks of the NFL season, and can he get them over there? And if not, then why not throw in your rookie quarterback? Because listen, if you're going 1-6, 2-6, or 2-7, you're not making the playoffs. See what you can get with him with some kind of hope and maybe a slim chance of making the playoffs. See how he reacts to that kind of thing and go from there. I get the fact this team is sold on him. Why, I don't know. Yeah, he got him to the Super Bowl. Let's be honest. I mean, it's been a 4-year hangover in reality. And it hasn't – the Atlanta Falcons have not been a serious contender the whole time since the whole thing went down with the Super Bowl and the meltdown in the Super Bowl. So you got to ask yourself the question. And that is nothing. I mean, Matt Ryan has not done enough to maintain that job. I'm telling you right now, there is a guy that's available right now that should start over him that they should trade for or go after because it won't cost them a lot, and he's on your football team.
You talking about Nick Foles?
Talking about Nick Foles. Nick Foles has at least won a Super Bowl. Okay, yeah, bitch slap. What you got to do, if you're going to get Matt Ryan good, you got to bitch slap him to be good. And you bring in a guy that came in off the freaking bench and won a Super Bowl, I'm telling you right now, and it's a good fit too. You think about the type of prototype of quarterback that is down there. If the Atlanta Falcons are not on the phone in Chicago right now trying to get Nick Foles, they're making a huge mistake. Because if you're going to live and die by Matt Ryan and you don't get the quarterback in the draft, you have a guy that can maybe try to get there because remember, you got the GOAT in the same division of football.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. But I think yes, I agree that I think that Atlanta made a mistake in drafting Pitts. I'm not saying Kyle Pitts is a bad football player. I think a tight end, though, that's definitely something you could have drafted later in the rounds. On top of that,
this guy here, everything I read about this guy is that he's not just a tight end. And I think that's what made his value more. He's not just a tight end. The guy's versatile. Like you said, you can play him in the slot. You can even put him on the outside, and going wide out on the other side of Julio Jones if need be. But also remember who they got, as far as the wide receivers on this football team, they have got some talent there. But you need to draw the attention away from the guys that are going to make those plays. Will it be because, you would think, and I might be wrong, they're not doubling up Julio Jones anymore. They're doubling up the other guy. His name, Ridley. They're doubling up Ridley now. They're not doubling up Julio Jones. And then you throw Pitts up on that situation. I don't know if they could double up on that. So I see my strategy. Now, I don't know. Obviously, if I'm thinking about it, that's something they thought about years, months ago. But I think I'm okay with the pick if they weren't going to quarterback, because you got to get the pressure off to make sure Julio Jones is well worth his money, because you don't want to see Julio Jones have a half-ass season, Cuervo, and make the money that he's making. Especially when you got Ridley over there who's going to catch 10 to 12 touchdowns, in the season and might look better than Julio Jones.
Well, yeah, but I don't know, Sonny. I think that there were bigger needs that the Falcons had. I think they lost a lot in the secondary. I think that's something that could have been addressed, taking one of those corners, taking the best safety in the draft. I mean, they lost Keanu Neal. They lose who was the other guy? I forget, but they lost a lot in their secondary, and I think that's going to be something that's going to come back to hurt them later, because they wanted to get this tight end that's like, oh, he's a hybrid and all that great stuff. When in reality, I think they could have traded down a little bit to get him, but who am I to say that Atlanta's wrong, right? in my little prediction mock drafting that I had, it's funny that you mentioned Carolina because I actually, threw in there that there was a trade that happened between Atlanta and Carolina moved up and got Pitts for themselves. Just
Yeah.
because
Okay.
with losing Greg Olsen to retirement, with losing, Greg Olsen was already gone, but finding a replacement for him, that's something that they haven't really done yet. I think that losing Curtis Samuel, that's another hole that the Panthers have to fill. So it can't just be DJ Moore. You got to have more than just that. So I think Pitts could have came in, been another option for Sam Darnold to be to throw the ball to. Good security blanket for him, but it just didn't happen. Carolina didn't maybe probably just wasn't looking at going up, but I think Pitts could have been a good fit in Carolina.
What does your better half think of the Patrick Surtain pickup? I'm going to just tell you what I think. I like the pick. Now, I think I remember looking back that she wasn't impressed, but I'm going to tell you, if he's half the guy that his daddy was, this might not be a bad move. And you also got to remember who the head coach, Fangio, it fits right along with coach influence pick.
Yep.
As far as getting the best guy on there. And I think at that time it was Patrick, Surtain, at least as far as what I was looking at.
Yeah, I think that Denver had bigger holes to fill as well.
I do. I agree.
Yeah, but I'll tell you from her perspective, and she, believe it or not, she brings up a very good point, actually.
Okay.
Her thing was she wanted a quarterback. All right, I think I've made that very clear. She does not like Drew Lock. She wants Drew Lock out. She wants him fired. How women talk, but she wants him to not be the starter anymore, right? So they go and they trade for Teddy Bridgewater. Great trade, by the way, for the Broncos because they pretty much gave up like a pack of pens or something like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they gave up and a half of a bologna sandwich to get Teddy Bridgewater. So good for Denver. That was a good move by them. Do I think that maybe getting someone else, like another quarterback or an offensive lineman, would have been more helpful? Yes. Because her the way she said it, explained it, and again, a very good point, is what she saw from the Bronco fan in her. The offense was given too many. They were doing too many 3-and-outs. Defense was worn out.
Definitely.
By
not going to win games that way.
That defense was gassed, Sonny. So that's why you saw Denver in the second half of the year. They started to kind of
mold
fall
a little
off
bit.
The face. Yeah, exactly. And and that's because the defense was on the field too much. And the offense was 3-and-out every time.
Yeah.
So,
well, your boy Justin Fields and Mac Jones were available after the pick, and I don't know, just kind of based upon what it would the prototypical Denver Bronco quarterback, that would have been Mac Jones. And like you said, that might not have been the right pick in reality based upon what your feelings are about him for Denver Broncos. Or does it change basically with that team, or is it just any team?
I think it's really, I think it's with any team. I just think that, and maybe over time, Jones will learn how to deal with the adversity, but just right now, it's not there yet. So he's going to have to battle through some tough times and become a tougher quarterback mentally before you see him really take off. I don't really question too much of his talent. I think he's got talent, but I just don't think he has the ability to deal with adversities in a football game because let's face it, almost every game he played, he won by 30 points. So, 20, 30 points. So, I mean, there's really no – I just don't think there was really much for him to compete with.
Now, he is not here with us today, which is a bummer because every time, we get Bryce on this show, we get some good Pittsburgh Steeler knowledge. Unfortunately for him, I don't know if this was the right pick. Running back out of Alabama, if I'm not mistaken, right? I can't say his name.
Najee Harris.
Thank you, Najee Harris. I'm not thrilled with the pick. I know they weren't high up on their running back James Conner. I know that wasn't there. At least going into this year, they wanted or needed something better. But I'm just going to say this: James Conner's better than this kid coming out of Alabama because of the space. Now, if you go out and get somebody, a big name in free agency and bring him in, great. But your first-round draft pick, the Pittsburgh Steelers, and he swung and they missed. Oh, my God. I am just trying to figure out. They lose their offensive lineman to Baltimore, if I'm not mistaken, after Baltimore lost their offensive line. They went up and got their best guy. So now you got a hole, and they don't fill the hole on the offensive line. They go out and get a running back.
Yeah, and I see why. Am I saying it was the best pick for the for the Steelers? No, I'm not saying that, but I understand why they made the pick. Losing James Conner in free agency, you got to replace him. So I think, Najee Harris being a guy that was available. Look, Bryce, I understand. And maybe that's how you feel right now with that pick. Maybe. But well, you know what, though? He put it on his Facebook that was one of the guys that he was hoping the Steelers would get. And I
couldn't figure it out. I read the same post. Matter of fact, I'll pull it up. I read the same post, and I was asking myself the question, maybe he didn't know he lost his offensive lineman. I don't know. But that whole thing, and by the way, 26 minutes ago, he makes a post it says, I hate these mistakes by the Lake Clowns. I don't know what that means. I don't know if that's in reference to what he's talking about, but I see the mock draft that he has for him. He had the center going in the second round. He wanted LaDainian Dickinson now at pick number 55. Now I don't know if Dickinson's been picked. They're not. 55 is actually a late one, and they actually went tight end. They went and got, and that pick just came in just a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily what I think Bryce was looking for, because he had him grabbing up the one in Notre Dame. And I think I understand this one, and I'm going to tell you the reason why. Notre Dame has a way of finding, they generate tight ends. I mean, I don't know what it is about them, but I can remember more about the tight end position, and especially with I think the position being as deep as they were is the reason why he's seen tight end later on in the fourth round is what I think he had him at, or what he thought he'd seen him at. I don't know. I don't know how Bryce could be too happy with what's going on as far as the Pittsburgh Steelers are concerned.
Well, I mean, I think that I think he's happy with what the Steelers still have at offensive line. Who DeCastro retired, right? Isn't that who it was, or
no?
One of them, I think retired, or was it Pouncey?
Yeah. The center. The center, and that's the reason why he wanted a center. Pouncey, it was a Pouncey? Yeah, Pouncey retired. And then they lost an offensive lineman to the Baltimore Ravens, Cuervo, after the Ravens got rid of their offensive lineman that went over to Kansas City.
Oh, yeah, so that was Orlando Brown Jr. He got traded.
Yeah, Orlando Brown, thank you. I couldn't remember his name. I remember he's a stud. The guy can play. He's got skills. But after Baltimore did that, they went and grabbed that offensive lineman from Pittsburgh, a starter that was there. And so you're down two offensive linemen going into the draft. I mean, before you even get there, you're down 2 and they go after running back. So when I was thinking about the pick, I just asked. I just said
terrible. Crazy knucklehead are terrible.
If you lose, just remember how many you have on that offensive line, and you're losing 2 of them. And you got Big Ben, who's not mobile anymore. This is not a great move.
Yeah, that's 40% of your offensive line you're losing, Sonny.
Yep.
So that's a big deal.
Big time loss. I see you're walking. Where are you headed?
Grabbing some water.
Water. You're such a liar. You're gonna mix. You're gonna mix a little bit in that. Get you a little hit. Yeah. Wouldn't that be great if you could have the vodka dispenser right in there?
That would be amazing.
You know what? I better trademark that idea. Another opportunity lost by Sonny Clark.
Man. You never know.
I've been coughing so much my ribs hurt. That's where I'm at. But feeling better than yesterday. I was a worn down. I look like a drowned cat, man. It was
yeah,
bad.
I was gonna ask. I mean, I know you say you're feeling better, but like, have your symptoms like lightened up or?
Well, I got the cough still, and my head is just stuffed up. So it's mainly allergies that are kicking around here. It's been wet here, and it's not good for me when it gets really wet for a long time. It's what it's been around here. So it's one of the reasons why my voice probably sounds different, than you're used to hearing. So I'm gonna just put it out there. When you looked at the first round, now granted the second round's going on, they're about ready to go into the third round as we speak. That being said, when you're looking at what you saw, is there any fantastic move outside of the quarterbacks that you saw in this pick? What did you like in that first round?
I think that what I really saw, what I thought was good was the move that let me get my notes. Who was it? Well, first of all, as much as we don't want to admit it, I thought the Patriots really gambled not moving up at all and still getting a quarterback that they liked.
That's why Bill Belichick is who he is, baby. That's just what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I really thought that those guys were going to be, get a little, I guess, desperate because just because of how aggressive they've been ever since Tom Brady left. And so I really thought
plus this offseason, Cuervo, they went crazy in free agency day one. They went nuts. They went out and got what they were looking for.
Yeah. But you know what? Honestly, like, I know you may not be a fan of it, but what your Jacksonville Jaguars did, I thought was not bad at all. I mean, you're looking at
the quarterback was there, but the running back. Okay, I won't completely say what I'm thinking. I'm not a fan of the running back. I don't even want to know his name. Okay, I don't even want to know who it is. It's really irrelevant. I get why they did it, Cuervo. So it's not keeping his buddy with him. I get it and I understand it. I'm not sold up on that second pick for the Jacksonville Jaguars, the running back. So, and let's see here.
Who got your Michigan guy, Kwity Paye?
Kwity Paye. I know he went in the second. He went in the first round, didn't he?
Yeah, first.
And I was at. I was when I was looking at my list. I was trying to figure out who I thought was the best. I passed his name, but where is he? There he. Indianapolis got him. Defensive end. Kwity Paye.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's a great pick for the Colts.
Yeah. Who's quarterback in that team? I keep forgetting. Which goes to show
Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz.
So Carson Wentz and they go defense, which obviously you need. I'm not actually too disappointed in that pick in reality. Now, just to be straightforward, I know a little bit about Pay, but I don't know a lot about Pay. I know just a little bit. I know he was super bad, but remember, he played for the freaking Michigan Wolverines who couldn't win games to save his freaking life. It drives me insane. But I did not dislike that pick running through there. But the team that the one thing when I was looking at drafting for needs at number 27, the Baltimore Ravens, they go after Bateman, which is a need because you need to be able to get the big star out there and give Jackson a guy to throw the ball to. I completely thought that was the right. See, it wasn't a big pick. It was just the right pick at the time based upon what the needs were. But as far as a team that did really well in the first round, I thought, where is it? Because I just had them on my page right here. And it was the Lions. The Lions on the offensive line. When they went, I'm telling you right now, Penny Sewell is that guy. That guy's a stud. There were two of them. Sewell was one of them. The other guy, I forget his name. But I'm telling you right now, that guy's a stud. And that's what they need, especially got a new quarterback, so you need to protect him. Obviously, they didn't do that with Matthew Stafford there, but hey, that guy's got some skill. That guy's going to be able to come out. And what I think about Sewell when I look at him, this is a guy that's going to be an impact player immediately on that offensive line to protect the quarterback there.
Yeah, and you know what? And I think what the thing is with Detroit is you're looking at, all new coaching staff, front office. So the philosophy in Detroit is going to be different from what we're used to seeing. I agree, right? Yep. With the Lions where, they just want to take wide receivers every year in the first round. That's not the case anymore. You're looking at you're going to see a much more physical type team in the Detroit Lions. And you know what? I'll be honest with you, Sonny. As a Bear fan, I don't like it. Yes. I don't like it one bit.
I hear you. Because if they can figure out the running game, Cuervo, that's going to be big for just this move alone. If you see how well this guy moves on the offensive line, if you get some kind of a stud at the running back position, they're going to make some plays running the football because the holes are going to be huge. And facing the Bears two times a year, Yeah, I really like the Sewell pick. I thought that was one of the best ones in the first round.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about the guy that was protecting Justin Herbert's blindside.
Yep, exactly.
Just a year ago, a little over a year ago, and then I've heard nothing but good things about Penei Sewell, and so I think that was another like home run type pick, for a team was Detroit getting him, and they didn't have to move up. They stayed put, didn't give anything up to get him, and he was just there waiting for him.
It's nice for it when it falls right into your lap.
Yeah, and that's exactly how it played out for the Detroit Lions. And I think Jared Goff is going to be very happy having a guy like that protecting his blind side. So.
Interestingly enough, Cuervo, I thought the Cincinnati missed out on this, the whole situation because Sewell was available. You know what?
Yes, and while that probably is a need for them, I knew they were going to go. I knew that they were going to go Jamar Chase because his boy Burrow is there, and they want to, reunite that little
love affair
duo right there. Actually, quite a few duos got reunited after last night, Sonny. You had Cincinnati with Burrow and Chase.
Yes.
You had Philadelphia with Jalen Hurts and Devontae Smith.
Yes, I forgot about
Miami. That. You had Miami with Tua and Jalen Waddle, who they drafted. And then you had, I think there was one more that I saw. I can't remember it now. But I know those three for sure had happened. Where did DJ Shark Oh, no, DJ Shark went to LSU. Never mind. But I think there was one more that happened. So, it was one of those things that, bless you, Sonny, but it was one of those things that, some reuniting happened last night with some of those.
Kind of reminds me of the NBA. Think about it. My friends come play with me, but they got drafted more so than anything. So, and interestingly enough, some of the big talk this week was how much quarterbacks should have a say in what was doing. Then we go back to Arizona and you hear what that was. I don't know if you heard it, but some of the things that was coming out of Kyler Murray's mouth, I think they should, talk to me about it and stuff like that. And I'm from the old school, Cuervo. I could care less what Kyler Murray wants, but I know the young man that's to my right on this screen, it doesn't necessarily agree with Sonny when it comes to that, because they will because if you in the old man's eyes, okay, disrespect the guy because you don't want to hear from him because you're a football player and I'm a GM, that we don't want to hurt their feelings, so you got to let them talk and get their opinion across when no one's listening to them anyway. Now, Kyler Murray comes out and says, of course I should have a say in what's going on. Should he have a say in what's going on? It is the Arizona Cardinals. So and I'm sorry, you got to kind of prove something to me first before you find out where your value is going into my scouting department, telling me this guy's better than that guy, more so than my scout. So, what do you think about these quarterbacks having to say on what's going to happen and who's going to be picked up, whether it's draft or in free agency?
Well, I think it's a risk, Sonny, and it all depends on the quarterback. If they want to give their, they want to make a recommendation of some sort or a suggestion of some sort, it's got to be something that you're not doing it because it's, you want to, have your boy back on your team with you, or, kind of like, with these guys that got reunited with their receivers last night after the draft. It's got to be a genuine thing where they are going to legit help these offenses become more successful. And instead of, looking at it from a football point of view, not just a homeboy point of view. And I think you take that into consideration. It doesn't mean you have to listen to it. But, you look at, what does the quarterback think he needs? What does he think the team needs? And if he says, well, I got sacked like 90 times last year, maybe offensive line would be something that we need to go get. So, it's going to be one of those things where I don't think there's anything wrong with getting your quarterback's opinion and maybe taking into consideration. But I don't think it's, we have to do what the quarterback says. We've got to keep him happy. And that's not at all what this should be about. It should just be about, sometimes there's nothing wrong with hearing from what the players think, because, hey, sometimes they have a perspective on something that maybe you didn't think about, maybe you had never thought of. And so, I get the old school mentality of just shut up and play, and I get that. And at the end of the day, that's what it's going to be. And the GM and the head coach are going to be the ones that make the decision. But I think getting your quarterback's input, I don't see anything wrong with it. I just think it's, just getting another perspective on, hey, what you think would be best for the team.
Them demanding the hearing, listening to it. I demand you to listen to me kind of thing is what I was gathering from some players, because when they brought up Kyler Murray, they brought up some guys who command that. And before the draft, Cuervo, what ended up happening, big news came out before the draft, which made that number 3 pick all important, was Aaron Rodgers says, I don't want to come back to Green Bay. And I just heard this just by accident. Go back into the days on how many years guys stay in Green Bay at the quarterback position. 16 is a number. 16 years for Brett Favre, for Starr, for all these other guys that they stayed 16 years. And maybe think about this. Aaron Rodgers does not live in Green Bay. Okay, he lives there 6 months out of the year to play football. But this guy lives in freaking California. So when this news broke, I thought it was interesting. I thought the timing was interesting. I thought, things that are being said right before the draft are either A, right on, or B, just completely out of left field and it won't affect the draft at all. I thought this actually had potential to affect the draft, especially at that number 3 position. Because if you're going San Francisco and not thinking about bringing in Aaron Rodgers, you're crazy. Yeah, I'm sorry, and I like Jimmy Garoppolo, but I'm sorry. Give me the league MVP. Give me a guy that's super bad, and that's what Aaron Rodgers is. And there are at least 25 teams in the 20 to about around 20 teams that would give up what they got to get Aaron Rodgers the MVP. Interesting story to start off the draft, and it was one of the reasons why I hung around very long because I wanted to see what ended up happening, and nothing really panned from that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, trust me. I mean, when I heard that story break out about Rodgers,
and break out, and you must have had some love, and then you were thinking about the pick that you guys had, later on. So you had it in your
On me, there's a chance.
So you get rid of Rodgers, and all of a sudden Chicago might have a backdoor in, or in this case of last year, they didn't even win to get in; they lost to get in. So it does. It opens it up with what's going on with really only one quarterback within the division of football. If Aaron Rodgers is not in Pittsburgh, depending on who they listen, Aaron Rodgers goes. Your guy, is a thought. Nick Foles is a thought to go there. I think actually, I think Nick Foles would be a really good pick up there in Green Bay if they got rid of him. Again, he's got the same amount of rings as Aaron Rodgers does. Now he doesn't bring the MVP, but he brings the MVP of the Super Bowl. So he brings his creds, and I think that's the reason why you see Justin Fields being in Chicago, which means your head coach can control your guy more so than Nick Foles. And listen, you can say it. And I want you to say, Sonny, you were right when this whole thing went down about Nick Foles. You can say Sonny was right because I said they were doomed at that time. They got lucky. They backed into the playoffs, but they were doomed when your quarterback and your head coach are not seeing eye to eye, or not even close to being on the same page. So, interestingly enough, so I think right now the hot commodity, and I just don't understand why people are not out trying to get Nick Foles as a backup quarterback. He's the best backup quarterback in the NFL right now, bar none. Obviously, with what the thinking will end up happening with the new guys and if they'll start and who's behind them, you get what I'm saying. But as established guys, I mean, man, Nick Foles is a great thing to fall back up on.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I think you put him in the right offense, and he gets, he's being heard out by his head coach. I think that was the biggest issue is and everybody thought that him and Nagy were on the same page, and it turned out to not be the case. So I think everybody was surprised by how disconnected those two were with each other, because that was a big time disconnection amongst the two of them, and I don't think anybody saw that coming. So I think that's where it went wrong for the Bears, and I think that I think he's going to be the guy that is out in Chicago.
He has to be.
Unless they want to keep him as
they're
a
going to live and die by the end
type quarterback. But I think, Well, Andy Dalton's either going to start or be the backup, and it's him and Fields are going to be 1 and 2, and
Right.
Foles is going to be 3. I'll tell you that right now. So,
And you don't need Foles as number 3. You can
I'm-
have nobody there at the number 3, so you might as well see what you can get for him and dump off that contract.
Yeah, and I think they should.
Huge contract.
And I think they should. Yeah, I think they should. Because again, I think it's a waste having him there as a number 3. You can probably get fourth or fifth round pick for him, and like you said, save some money. And that's what the Bears need to do, because the Bears are razor thin in the salary cap, Sonny. It's crazy how close those guys are to the max of the salary cap.
Who are the teams after Aaron Rodgers? I was listening today because I did nothing today, 0, just recovering from yesterday to get to this point. And I was listening earlier, only AFC teams, because you don't want to put Aaron Rodgers in the NFC. I think if the price is right, you do. In reality, I mean, if the price is right and you can get some draft equity for it, yeah, you do. Now, granted, stays in the same division, or, same conference, he gets the opportunity to have revenge on the Green Bay Packers, whoever and whatever may end up happening. Whoever ends up quarterbacking that team, obviously the disrespect that he felt last year after 9 years all going defense, they go offense to replace their guy. And, I really thought football people understood business. And I always thought Aaron Rodgers was a football guy, a football business guy. And the fact is, and this everything I'm hearing, he's really hurt about that pick. But I'm sitting here thinking to myself at the same time, aren't you a football guy? I mean, are you one of these whining, crying little babies? And you're not getting your way, so you'll throw a fit and you'll end up on a different football team. I never thought that about Aaron Rodgers until this last thing that ended up happening right before the draft.
Yeah, and what a coincidence, the timing of it. Just like hours before the draft begins, now this report comes out about him not wanting to go back to Green Bay. It just makes it seem like he's calling Green Bay's bluff and saying, "Yeah, you won't take a quarterback or do something to push me out of Green Bay." So I'll tell you what, you play with fire, sometimes you get burned.
Yeah, and everything that the reports came out afterwards, and they're not trading them. I guess this is a game of chicken now.
They're going to trade him, Sonny. They're going to trade him.
But what's the value you're going to get for an Aaron Rodgers? I mean, how many number 1 picks is it going to be? Okay, because you're going to get at least 2, if not 3. I mean, you're talking about a franchise. And interestingly enough, I don't think this is about money, because they came back and tried to renegotiate that contract that he had. In reality, adding more money to the backside of that contract to put it on there. So I thought that was very interesting, as far as where they were contract-wise, still being offered out to throw money on top of it. They're willing to pay him anymore. So in reality, this is not about money.
It's not.
Although he's not getting paid the amount of money that some of these guys that are getting paid at the quarterback position right now. But that's the contract he signed 3 years ago. So that's where he's at.
And Sonny, so here's the problem that I have with that. And especially when it comes to quarterbacks.
Yes.
Every year the value goes up, right?
Yes.
It's almost like an inflation when it comes to the price of a top tier quarterback. Okay. Now, the problem that I have is that when it's your time to get paid, and when you are paid top 5 money because you're either performing at the top 5 level, or the franchise decides that you're worthy of a top 5 quarterback contract, then you take it and you go with it, and you're happy with it. Just be happy with it, right? Because at that time, that was your worth. But then 2 years later, now the value has gone up $15 million in total salary.
Who started that? And it
I
wasn't
would
a quarterback.
say-
It wasn't a quarterback. You're going to be mad when I tell you the answer to that. Terrell Owens. He started that, if you remember correctly. And I do, and I'm right. It started out as he wanted more money. His contract said what he said. He said, listen, I'm worth more than this. I'm just not going to come. It started with Terrell Owens, which is probably yet another reason why a lot of people didn't want to vote for him first-time Hall of Fame because of pain in the ass. But that was about the business side of it, so I don't really get that portion of it because going back into, thinking about that, just recently, there's been a couple of quarterbacks that are saying, listen, this guy's getting that money. I'm better than that guy. I want that money. Now, granted, when you're Patrick Mahomes and you're pulling down $500 million, it really kind of changed the face of the quarterback pay in reality, because if you think about Patrick Mahomes and where Aaron Rodgers is, Aaron Rodgers, this is where I go back to where it's not about money, because if I'm not mistaken from what I did read, is they were looking to try to definitely get him more money on the backside of his contract, which is where the money slides off a little bit. So, her feelings are a big thing, but this really happened and started in reality with Terrell Owens.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say something. I mean, and you very well may be right. And that may be the one that started all of it. But at this point, that's where we're at now. It's the value every year goes up. But my point is, you can't get upset 2 years later and say, well, damn, he got paid this much money. You know what? I want a new contract now because I think I'm worth this now. And now I think I'm worth – no, that's not the way. That's
exactly what Terrell Owens thought.
You know what? But you know what? And shame on Dallas and the other franchises for allowing that to happen. Because look at the domino effect it's having now.
Absolutely.
And so all these quarterbacks, they want to get paid at the current rate. Well, I get it. At the same time, though, it wasn't your time. When it was your time and you did get paid, you got paid what you felt you were worth. You don't gain interest on your contract based on performance. I'm sorry, it just doesn't happen unless you're talking about signing bonuses, but you can't go back and add on to that unless you can. I don't know. Maybe you can.
Well, interesting. I was wondering, if your performance is that good, put you in the top 5, write it in the contract. If I'm within the top 5 of the top 5 quarterbacks, I should get top 5 money regardless of what the contract says. We'll go with the contract. But as soon as if I'm on top 5, I should get it. How they can't write that into the contract, I don't know. There's a lot that goes on with the salary caps and things of that sort. But I don't know. Maybe it's elementary. Why don't you have, if you're that damn good, if you're a quarterback, say, well, write it in my contract. If I'm top 5 in numbers and everything else, you got to give me top 5 money when it comes to. So you have to give up a little bit more money up on the top, more so than the base that I'll end up getting. But I'll always get the base unless I don't finish the top 5. I don't know. I don't know if that can be written into the contracts. I don't know if the NFL's contracts are that complex or can be set up to be that complex. I don't know.
I don't know that there are any boundaries, Sonny, to what contracts can look like. If you throw 40 touchdowns, we're going to get a pink Corvette. I don't know what you can and cannot put in a contract. Maybe you could put that in there. I don't know. Yeah. But I just don't think it's fair to front offices that these quarterbacks are constantly wanting to get these raises and these extensions because they feel like, well, they're worth more than that guy. Well, you know what? It was his turn. You just got to wait your turn to get that extension, dude. Like, and I feel like some quarterbacks do that. Like every year, they just want to get, they want to get paid more and get paid more and get paid more. And I just honestly, I think Green Bay should call Aaron Rodgers' bluff and say, fine, you don't want to play here no more. We're fine. We're gonna get rid of you then.
Well, it'd be a forced retirement because they won't let him go anywhere. And if he isn't going to play, it'd be a forced retirement outside of giving back bonus money, outside of the salary they got paid up front. I don't know where they are as far as where that is within the contract, but part of that signing bonus would have to go back. That part I know. So there's a lot of intangibles, but really it's not about money. It's Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is making money just by getting up and going pee in the morning. So, it's not necessarily about the money, but interestingly enough, is how long will he let it play out? He's going to miss training camp.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, I've said it before. I'll say it again. If you have a franchise quarterback, that guy should never play in a preseason game and or training camp. Per se, warming up and everything, but actually putting yourself in a position to where you get hurt is not the brightest idea. We've seen quarterbacks walking from one field to another and lose. Teddy Bridgewater, one field to another. Guy's out for a year and a half because of a devastating injury just walking from one place to another. Never mind the fact that he wasn't necessarily the franchise quarterback that was being paid money, but imagine that happening to an Aaron Rodgers. So I've never been one for an agreement to, Aaron, let's have you play this preseason game. I would never do it. Knowing his value, knowing his importance to the team, and knowing that it would take him one game to get back to regular season form. Those guys know the business, and especially it's been as long as they have. They know the business. They don't need that.
Yeah, they don't need that, and that's what I'm saying. It's like it just seems like it's a revolving thing when it comes to certain quarterbacks. I think well, he shouldn't be getting paid more than I do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just everything is timing when it comes to the contracts, especially for quarterbacks. It's all about timing. You know what I mean? And you're not going to always be the top paid person, but all you can do is just prove your worth through how well you play. That's the way I see it.
Right.
And if you get caught up in the money, then you know what? I don't care how good you are. I don't know that I want you as my quarterback. If I'm a GM, I don't know if I want you as my quarterback because it just seems to me like you're more concerned with what you're getting paid than going out there trying to help the team win a championship.
Some news here. Jacksonville Jaguars. We know about Trevor Lawrence. We know about the running back. First pick in the second round. They go Tyson Campbell, cornerback out of Georgia. And then the third round is just started. They went ahead and got safety Andre Cisco out of Syracuse. Now, I don't know about Cisco, but I do know about Tyson Campbell. That guy is a stud. That's gonna be a good pick for him as far as that's concerned. But there are better cornerbacks that were on the board when they took that running back. And they should have done that because I bet you then that running back would have fell down to exactly the first pick in the third round. So I think they missed out on an opportunity, especially if you look at some of the names that were grabbed up, even on the defensive side. So in reality, we see where that ended up. So interestingly enough. And your Bears, your Bears are due to get the 7th pick in the third round. Or is it the 7th pick? Hold on. Bears. Oh, wait. I was looking at the second round. Where's your Bears? Do they got a third rounder, Cuervo?
Good question, Sonny. I don't know.
I don't see him in the third round. I don't see the Chicago Bears in the third round. So looks like you're done for the night as far as your team Because 4 and 5 are tomorrow, right?
Yes.
So
3, 4, and 4, 5, 6, and 7.
Got it. So this ends on Saturday, or does it end on Sunday?
No. Everything is tomorrow. The rest of the draft is. There's nothing on Sunday.
Got it. All right. So I was just thinking. So the Bears move up, get the pick from the Giants to get Justin Field, and so the Bears get Tevin Jenkins, offensive tackle, and then that is they get their next pick in the 5th round that they got from the Carolina Panthers, number 151. So Jaguars, they got a lot of value up on this draft. If I'm not mistaken, they had 7 picks through this whole thing. Mark that. Chicago Bears have a compensatory pick in the 6th round.
Oh, okay.
And
they
also get the 24th pick in the 6th round from Seattle through Miami.
Seattle through Miami?
Yeah. They get the 24th pick in the 6th round from Seattle through Miami on a conditional pick. So that was
okay.
That's where they are. So, but all in all, interestingly enough, depending on where they are, we'll get it. I don't know of anything else that I had. I wanted to kind of review what we would have done live, obviously, and get things covered that way.
Yeah.
I'm beginning to lose my voice, so I think I got to be done because I got to call wrestling commentary tomorrow night. So I'm probably gonna have to rest my voice.
Oh
so.
yeah, Sonny, you should rest up.
Yeah, we gotta rest up for that because I work 8.5 hours before I go to the wrestling event. So yeah. So, but I think we covered everything.
I don't know how you do it.
Some of the other big news. I don't know if anything happened today per se, outside of the who's picking what. As far as any other news, though, I don't think there's anything out there right now.
Well, I'll give you a little something that maybe we could talk about. I don't know if we're going to try and get on Sunday, if we're going to save it for next weekend.
2:00, right? 2 or 1? What's best for you?
I think we could do 1 on Sunday.
1:00. So we'll do that. We'll shoot for 1. I promised to know the before we left. So there we go. So what's the other one?
Well, I'll throw a little rumor out there that I heard, and then we could save it for our thoughts for Sunday. There's a rumor, and I don't know that anybody else has heard about it or is talking about it, but there's a rumor that, and I know Minnesota just drafted a quarterback. But there was something that I saw that they were considering. Minnesota's considering trading for one Mr. Drew Lock out of Denver, which made the lady very happy because she wants him out of here. Get out. That's what she said.
Get him gone.
Yep. She wants to give him the Donald Trump treatment. You're fired.
So right now, the Vikings are on the clock. They might have done their pick, probably because I haven't refreshed that. But they were just on the clock. But they have quite a few. They have 3 picks in the 3rd round. So interestingly enough, that being the Vikings. So interestingly enough, that's hey, I don't think that's actually a bad decision in reality. Because evidently Drew Lock is not the answer, or maybe he is. I don't know. We'll know more about that. But if that move was actually going to happen, Cuervo, then definitely not going after a quarterback's a problem. Unless they're going to get Kirk Cousins. I'm sorry.
I don't know. A 1-for-1 swap? That would be kind of interesting.
Yeah, or one swap or a little bit to get Kirk Cousins.
But,
interesting. Yeah, there you go. Sorry, yeah. I didn't want to start laughing and end up coughing on a coughing jag because that's where I was headed. Yeah, so that hey, I like the sound of Drew Lock up in Minnesota. Actually, I do. I actually like that. Interesting. We'll have to keep an eye on where'd the rumor come from. Do you think there's any validity behind it?
It was just honestly, it was just a random thing that I saw come across my Facebook page.
Got it. Interesting. So that we'll see what happens. So we'll cover everything up on Sunday. Anything from here till then, we'll kick that one off at 1:00. So 11 your time. That's what I had in my mind. So 11 your time. Hindsight's at 10:30.
Hindsight goes at 11 your time.
Got it. All right, very good. So plenty of time to get that done. All right, rock and roll. All right, so that's gonna do it.
All right, Sonny. Yep.
All right,
that'll be
cool.
it.
That's gonna do it for us here on the Couch Potato Sports Show. We'll see everybody Sunday at 1:00. Hopefully, I'll be feeling better. But after calling wrestling, the voice might be taking a beating. We'll find out on Sunday. So we'll check that one out. We'll see everybody then. Have a good one, everybody. Bye-bye.
All right.